Hey everyone, welcome to everyone joining in. We're just waiting for our team at Shumi Toys to join us. They should be with us any moment now. They've just come live, just adding them in.
Hi.
Hey, can you hear me, Bola?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey everyone, welcome to this Amazon Launchpad Instagram live session. I'm Pranay, representing the Launchpad team at Amazon. Amazon Launchpad is a unique platform that brings you cutting edge products from local emerging brands. You can access the store by heading on over to amazon.in/launchpad. Just a disclaimer, all information shared in this session are the brand's opinion. We suggest you use your own judgment before following any of it. Today we'll be connecting with Purva, product designer at Shumi Toys. Hey Purva, we're really excited to have you here.
Hi, Pranay. Thank you for introducing me.
Yeah, cool.
Uh,
So, Purva, why don't you walk us through what Shumi is and what is Shumi's mission?
So basically, Shumi is a sustainable toy brand. We are passionate about bringing the joy of play back. And so we at Shumi believe that play is 90% child and 10% toy. And that is why we create simple, engaging, and open-ended toys. From wooden toys to games to activity boxes for 0 to 6 years of old. And at Shumi, we really believe that a toy should invoke child's imagination and let him explore his experimentation. So yeah, that's what we believe at Shumi.
Got it. That's really interesting. So, with that, we'll start off today's session. Over to you, Purva.
Great. Thank you so much, Pranay. So, today's session will be about a very engaging DIY board game where you can create your own board game. So, in this process, we'll be creating a board game for toddlers. And through the process only, I will be teaching you how you can also create your own board game.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you remember as children, we used to make our own games like Fire and Ice and Cross the River Crocodile, or we used to pretend play as doctors and patients and everything like that. So, designing games is just as simple as that. You just have to find your inner child. So board game is a lot about understanding who you are designing for and what is going to be the theme of the gameplay. So I'll break down the process of creating a board game into very simple steps. But let's first run through the materials we will be needing for today's session, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So shall I just rotate my camera towards my desk?
Yeah, sure. Give me a second. Even I will just set up my.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, till the time I'll talk about board gaming and
Yeah.
the steps involved in the same.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm just setting up.
Is my desk visible?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, great. So basically, while designing a board game, there are three things to remember. So first one being that whom are you targeting to create it for? Who is your target audience, right? And the second one is about the gameplay. Gameplay is nothing but the elements in the game and what do I need to do with those elements. And the third thing is the theme or the narrative around which the whole gameplay revolves. So in this session, we are creating a game for toddlers. This is going to be ages 3 and above. So our target group is set. Now this decision of ours is going to actually help us in making different following decisions. So at the age of 3, we need to understand what are the skills involved in playing a game. So at the age of 3, a toddler can actually recognize shapes, alphabets, numbers, pattern, colors, and things like that. And he's actually understanding and exploring the world around himself. So, but these are many different kind of skills. So we do not put everything into one single game. So to start with, we are going to take color recognition skill as the basis of the gameplay.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the second thing, the gameplay is going to be derived from the color recognition. And now, as we talked about the third thing, which is about the theme of the play. So when I talk about colors, I actually think about colorful candies. So candies are something kids will definitely resonate with a lot. So the theme of our game is going to be about candies. So
Got it.
now all the three things are set. We now need to understand how the gameplay will revolve around.
Okay.
So coming back to the gameplay, there is another breakdown which is into 4 parts. Since this is not a very complex game, as in when we move into higher ages, there are different skills like problem solving or things like that, strategy, which are involved in creating a gameplay. But since this is for kids, we are going to be keeping it very simple. So the first thing you need to answer is about the objective of the game, right? So the objective of the game is going to be derived from candies and color recognition. So in my mind, I think the objective of the game is going to be a child collecting candies and filling up his jar, and the first child to collect all the candies and fill up his jar is going to win the game.
Okay.
That's going to be my objective. And the second thing which we are going to focus is about what is defining a turn in the game. So most of the games you see that has a like dice. So this game also will involve a dice, and the turn will be, so each kid will take its turn to roll the dice, and whatever color is on the top of the die, he will collect that colored candy and put it on his jar, and that is how the turn will take. And while creating the elements of the game, I will be taking you through how we come up with the rules of play. So now I will introduce you to all the materials which are going to be needed in this session.
Sure.
So the materials are these 5 different colored of sheets,
Okay.
and one is a white sheet, one white big sheet. The other one is a pair of scissors. These are the sketch pens, black sketch pens, and this is a dice, and this is a glue.
Got it. Yeah.
So let's start by creating colorful candies, okay?
Okay.
So we will just draw a circle of about, say, 1.5 inches. This is just a freehand drawing, so sorry, I messed up there, but yeah. Okay, so this is my circle. I will be cutting these 10 of each color. I will be later telling you how I got into this number.
Okay.
But let's just create some elements right now.
So since my drawing and coloring isn't as great, I've already done the cutouts like you suggested.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I have some cutouts with me already.
Oh, that's great, Pranay. So I will also just doodle one of the candy icon, and then we will show, like I've also pre-cut it already, then we can just show the audience that how we are going to go around the game. So basically, I'm just doodling one icon of candy on my circle, as you can see. So we will be drawing 5 different types of candies on 5 different types of colors.
Okay.
I will showcase them to you now. So here I have 10 blue, but the blue has 2 of these icons, then 2 of these candy icons, 2 of these, 2 of these candies, and the plain simple candy sticks. I will just lay them out for you. So one is this, the other one. So these are the 5 different types of candies I've drawn on one single color. So each candy is repeated twice on a single color.
Okay.
Okay. And similarly, I've done the same with all the different colors.
Yeah. So
Right?
even I have different colors ready with me. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So now we have our elements of candies ready. Now we
Got it.
need to create jars to collect all those candies, right?
Yeah.
So for that, we will be using our white sheet of paper. I'll just remove it onto the side. So this is going to be a really big sheet, so I'm cutting it into 4 equal parts. So depending on the number of players who are playing the game, we will be having the number of jars because each kid will have their own jar.
Got it.
So I'll cut it down. So I'm going to draw a basic glass jar onto this. Pranay, are you drawing along with me? Yeah, so that
I've
is
already
what
made it.
we are
Yeah.
going to,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is going to be a very basic glass jar. And now since we want these candies to fit in,
Yeah.
I will leave 5 circle spaces so that the kid can actually visually understand that this is where he needs to fill up the candy and he can keep a track of the same. Yep. So this is my jar,
Yep.
having 5 different space for candies. So let's bring all the elements in.
Sure.
So these are my circles of candies. And I've already drawn like 2-3 more of it. So this is going to be a 2-player game. So I'll
Okay.
just need 1 and 2.
Yep.
And yeah, so we have our candies ready. Now we need to define how am I going to collect the candies basically.
Okay.
So for collecting the candy, you remember we started with color recognition.
Yes.
So we have a dice and dice has 6 different possibilities. So 6 different possibilities means that I can put 5 different colors on each of the 5 faces of the dice, and on my turn I can roll the dice and whatever color comes on top I will collect that candy. That makes sense, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what will happen on the 6th phase? Either we can introduce a 6th color, but now I have left it empty because I want to introduce something called wild. So wild is basically denoted by any shape which is different, like say for example star. And whenever I
Okay.
roll a wild, so I can collect any color of candy.
Got
Right?
it.
So now I will prepare my dice. So how I will do it is I will bring back my white colored sheet and like cut a very small square or a circle which can fit onto the one face of the dice, right?
Okay.
So I'll just cut it down very small. Yeah. So I have to cut 6 pieces of these.
Oh, we have to cover the entire dice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can actually take these colors itself and stick it on top.
Oh, okay.
I'll take the pink one. So one is yellow, one is purple, one is green, one is pink, and the other one is blue. So I'll cut out all these colors.
Yep. So each side is covered by a different color except for one of them, right?
Yeah. On one of them, we will just paste a white colored paper and we will draw a star on it.
Okay. So while we do that, Purvi, I'll start us off with some questions as well, right?
Okay, okay.
So our first question for you is, what makes Shumi different from other toy brands?
All right. So Shumi's philosophy is basically very different from other toy brands in the sense that we focus on skill development while playing. It's not the toy first, but it's completely child first. So something which is called as open-ended play. So what we mean by open-ended play is basically play without any kind of restriction. And that is how we build our toys also, because they have a lot of open-endedness into them. So, for example, one day the child might be playing with the blocks in the way that he is building towers and buildings out of it. The other day he might actually be using the same blocks to understand patterns, shapes, colors, etc. So that is what actually makes Shumi different. And the other thing is that Shumi is completely a homegrown brand. So basically, our toys are designed and manufactured in India with Indian artisanal skills, but quality at par with like global market toy brands. So yeah, that's what sets Shumi apart.
So when you were talking about using the same toys for different types of games, so is it like you buy just one type of toy or one board game and it has multiple purposes? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, so basically our toys do not come with a manual per se. For example, we have a set of magnetic RoboBlocks. So in that set, we do not give any kind of manual to define how do we play the game. So there are a lot of blocks of different kind of shapes with different patterns all over them. Each side is different, okay? And they have magnets attached inside them. So when you put two blocks together, they either attract or they either repel depending on the poles of the magnets, but we have not mentioned that also. So while playing with something like this, the kid can actually explore a lot of things. He can create his own stories, he can create his own characters, or he can actually understand the magnetic field and things in his own way, not in scientific way but in his own way. Also, many of our toys have chalk surfaces, chalkable surfaces. So the kid can actually feel free to explore emotions, expressions all over the chalkable surfaces of the characters.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So just a quick update. I am pasting all the colored pieces of this paper on my dice. Yeah.
So which is the one number I leave empty, which I don't cover?
It's okay. It can be any number because, yeah,
Got it.
because now the numbers are covered. We can't really see them. So we will just kind of, so this is my white side face up.
Okay.
And I'm just drawing a star over it. So this is like that. We will let this dry.
Okay.
and figure out how the game is going to be. So as you see, we have cut lot of circles here. It's basically uh, because since there can be 4 players also, so that is why I've cut so many circles. But for a 2-player game, we have to understand that if I roll the dice and say, for example, the dice shows a wild right now, but for example, if it shows purple and I take a purple candy and put it on my jar, right? So when I do that, the other person also gets a chance. He gets a wild and he picks up a green candy. In that sense, the first one to go will fill up his or her jar first because there are a lot of candies, right?
Yeah, of course.
So what is the challenge here? Like, what is the gameplay here? So here is when we actually decide upon what is going to be the rules of the game and what is going to be the challenges. So for example, if you take Monopoly, it is a very advanced game, but when you are buying properties, you're actually losing out on money, right?
Yeah.
And as you are traveling around the globe, you have to pay rent, you have to do many sort of things with your money. So you have to understand that there is an element which is going down and there is an element which is coming up, which is my property.
Yeah.
So here also I have to keep it in mind that if 2 players are playing, then the number of candies I need to fill up both of the jars are 10.
Okay.
Right? So 10 is the minimum number which I need to keep here. 10
Okay.
different, but obviously since the dice have 5 different colors, so I will be keeping 5 different colors, but minimum 10 in numbers. So that makes me two colors of each candy.
Got it.
So I'll keep 2 purple, 2 blues, and 2 yellows, 2 pinks, and 2 greens, right? But this is very bare minimum. What if a child rolls a wild and like what if the child rolls a green and this guy has already taken 2 greens, so there is nothing left. And that is where the challenge actually comes. That now the child, when he rolled a green and there are no greens on the pile, he has to skip his turn and wait for his next turn to be able to roll a color in which he can find a die in the pile, find a candy in the pile.
Got it. Okay.
Right? That is what the gameplay is. And that is how we come up with the numbers. Now that the gameplay is defined, but I will, because they are kids, I will just put a little bit more of the candies. So that, say for example, we will just put 15 in numbers.
Yeah.
And now, since we have defined the gameplay, now it's very easy to come with the rules of the game. So in one turn, the child can only take 1 yellow candy. So I will just take 1 yellow candy and fill up my jar. The other thing is, if he has these and he rolls a blue, say for example, he cannot take it from another player and put it on his board, right?
Sure.
And yeah, that play will revolve in clockwise direction. So these are the very basic rules of play which are derived after we understand how the gameplay is going to be.
Got it. Yeah.
Now, a very basic game is already done. So we have already created our first game.
Yeah.
So to make it complex, as in when the child is growing in age or his understanding increases, you can actually put in different more elements to increase the complexity. So right now he's just matching the colors, but as you see, we have different icons of candies as well. So if we introduce another dice which have 5 different icons of the candies which we created, so he has 2 levels of matching and recognition to do.
Got it.
He has to match this candy icon and this color, and then only he can pick one. So that is how we kind of increase the complexity in game. The other thing can be, you can actually introduce, rather than a wild card in which you can pick any candy, you can actually introduce action cards. Action cards are basically, when you pick them up, you have to perform an action. It can maybe you have to exchange your candy jars, like regardless of how much is filled, or something like you skip a turn, or something like you have to give one candy to the other player, or something like that. So this is how the complexity of the game increases, and the skills involved in the game, like for example, the kid will learn social skills, the kid will learn fine motor skills because he's actually picking and putting this down.
Yeah.
The kid will actually have recognition skills because he's matching the colors, and so on.
Yeah.
So that is why that is how skill comes into play.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Are we done with this game? Should we move on to the questions?
Yeah, definitely.
I will just take a
Just a
second to
second.
pan the camera back. Yep.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a minute. Yeah. Perfect. Cool.
Yeah.
This is super interesting. And I'm sure a lot of kids are going to enjoy this. I hope our viewers like this as well. We have some more questions for you and for your brand.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the first question then, actually we've covered the first one. The second one is, how do you ensure child safety in your toys?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
How do you ensure child safety in your toys?
Yeah, so all our toys and games are actually chemically tested against ASTM standards, which are American standards and European standards. And also, while designing the whole game or the toy, we ensure that there are no sharp or very pointy edges, or there is no choking hazard. And also, in-house, we test for a lot of inflammability and breakable parts and everything inside. And it runs through a lot of tests before we actually approve of the toy.
Oh, right.
So yeah.
Very reassuring. Yeah. We'll go to the next one. So you spoke about Shumi being a sustainable brand, right? How do you maintain sustainability in terms of product and packaging?
Okay. So, Shumi being a sustainable brand, first of all, we use all sustainable materials while designing anything. So, it's cardboard, wood, cloth, fabric, all of them are sustainable materials only. Secondly, when we talk about packaging, so all our toys are basically shipped into cardboard boxes, and which can be used to actually store the toys inside and are 100% recyclable. Plus, we also provide muslin cloth bag along with it. We do not do any plastic wrapping or something like that. We are moving into muslin cloth bags so that it can again be used for storage. The most important point is that our toys are not use and throw. So they are basically handed down from one child to another in the family because the quality is as such. So that is how we actually overall in the whole stages and process of the toy design bring out sustainability.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Next one is, how do you ensure sustainability in design? You spoke about product and packaging, right? How do you ensure that in your design?
So in design also sustainability comes a lot from the material usage and the understanding that since sustainability is all about being eco-friendly, and first of all, the thing is that our toys is not one time usage, right? It's all about open-endedness in the toy. So in one toy, we have the capacity to engage the child in many different ways. So that is how the sustainability comes. Second point is that we bring a lot of different kind of themes into our toys, which talks about a sustainable environment for the whole child education as well. So that is where the sustainability of design comes into play.
Okay, that's super interesting. Like the same toy can be used by the same person for different purposes in different age groups for the same toy. Same
Yeah.
value.
Shall I show you one example? I have one toy with me.
Oh, sure.
So this is basically a Peppa block, and we have different kind of wooden blocks inside it, with Peppa. Peppa Pig is a very popular character in kids. So they are very different kind of blocks. And so we also have a threading needle in the whole set. Okay. So the box is basically made in a way that it can actually be a part of the play. So if you see, the box is basically a circus or a tent shape box kind of thing. So when a child has this toy, he can pretend play with the Peppa blocks, character blocks, and he can actually build his own stories while he is creating fine motor skills while threading and hand-eye coordination, because these are very small holes, right? And the needle has to go inside. So these are the skills which are getting developed, but at the same time, the child is able to play it in very different manner.
Got it. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Even the box could be in a like part
Yeah.
of it, right? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Cool. We'll move on to our last question. This is something I've also considered is, when you're designing games, how do you fix the rules? How do you decide what the game will be played and all that?
Okay, so basically, while I was talking about this game, which we designed in the DIY session, so the rules of the game are derived after you fix on how to play the game.
Okay.
Okay, and depending on the complexity of the game, because there are very different kind of board games available. There is roll and move, there is deck building, there is strategy, there is tile placement, so many things. So when you fix upon one thing, you can actually understand, say for example, Scrabble, right? You place tiles and then you build points according to how you place them and how long is the word. Okay, and you keep on building the whole grid and the tile and everything. So in this, the rule will be very focused around how you can place the tile and how each player is going about their own turn. So depending on the type of play you are taking about, you bring about the rules of the game.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're done with the questions today then. We'll end this session today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Purva. I hope all the viewers really enjoyed this. I definitely did. It was a learning experience for me as well. Please keep joining in, guys. Every Friday, we'll have more such brands on the Amazon Launchpad program. And thanks a lot, Purva. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you,
See you.
Pranay. Thank you so much. It was a lovely session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye, guys. See you. Have a great weekend.
Bye.